Hello, I'm Mark from Overlanding Forward, and after 179 days, the L322 is finally back. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. You find me in Wales underneath a tarp. L322 is back. I've had it back since Friday. Today is a Sunday. And yes, the last time I sat on this tailgate was 179 days ago. And in that time, we've gone through autumn, winter, Christmas came and went, New Year came and went, Easter's just gone. But here we are, back again, springtime. Got lambs in the field jumping around, all the trees are beginning to bud, the birds are singing, and I think they're looking around to start making nests. So spring is here, and it's raining, so I must be in Wales. So like the L322 that has been renewed and brought back to life, welcome to springtime in Wales. So a number of videos when I was away, or rather the vehicle was away, I gave you an update of what was going on. I know I haven't posted in a couple of months, but I didn't really have a vehicle. Lots of the things that were going on, I just couldn't report on. I just didn't have time to do it because of work commitments and things like that. So I eventually picked it up from Tim at Emporium. It passed its MOT, flying colours, no advisory, back in March, I believe it was, towards the end of March. And they found a few other niggly problems. So just getting it to an MOT, getting it aligned. They found a couple of other things that were going on. The driver's side airbag was leaking, so they stripped it all down and replaced that. And they also heard this squeak or rattle. They really didn't know what it was, so when they took the engine out and put it all back, they didn't really take a good look at the engine mount, so they replaced one of the engine mounts. I believe it was the driver's side engine mount that was on its way out, so that's gone. That's all been done. I have here all of the pages of invoices and things like that, and I'll go through page by page what has been done on this thing. Now there are a few other things that probably need to get taken care of. I've got to go back when this thing does about 1,000 miles. I've probably done about 300 already since I picked it up. To get the oil changed, though, because it had new turbos, after 1,000 miles you need to get the oil dumped out, all put back in, which I'm going to go up and do. There's a few things that we're not sure what's going on. They believe the front diff is on its way out because you can definitely hear a groaning sound. I'm not sure whether it's a bearing, whether it's the diff. It never happened before. They did replace a bearing. It could be the bearing's gone, the new one's not working. We're not sure. At this point in time, I need to give my bank balance a large sigh of relief and not going to put a diff in it. So I've got a couple of things I'll walk you through what I'm going to do up until now, until the summer. If it gets worse and it needs to be done, then I'll probably figure out how to do it sometime in the summer. Okay, so I'll tell you that I'll put these up in the top corner so you can have a look. I am not going to put the price. I think a lot of you realize that a lot of work has been done on this, and so you can guess what this has cost. It's not been cheap, let's just put it that way. So the first thing to look at would be probably the labor. In total, there's been 109 hours of labor spent on it. Now, they weren't going at it straight away. I mean, obviously when it showed up, as you can see from the other videos, when it went up, it wasn't running. They had to diagnose it, figure out what was wrong with it, and that diagnosing took them about 19 hours to go through that whole process of figuring out what exactly had gone wrong. And clearly there were a number of things, and if you go way back to the first video that I recorded for this, you can see when I said this is what they believed had happened. Pretty much the turbos had blown. It overheated at some point, so they had to go through all the diagnosis. There was about 19 hours of work that was done on that. So the whole of the engine at the front had to be stripped down. It was originally going in for the pulleys and bearings, oil pump, water pump, oil cooler, starter, alternator, all those things. That's what it originally went in for. And then I think if you go back and have a look, one of the injectors, in fact 2 of the injectors, didn't have copper seals on it. They were pissing out diesel. One of those was duff. They had to replace that. So anyway, it was 109 hours worth of labor, and you'll see that in the top corner. So both primary and secondary turbos have been replaced. They were both shot. These were Garrett refurb. Tim is waiting for the report. So what happened was they ordered the new ones, paid the surcharge, put the new ones in, still had the old ones, and sent the old ones back. So Garrett basically would start disassembling them and say what actually went wrong with them as far as they can see. So we'll figure that out. So both primary and secondary turbos were replaced, alternator, and then the fan belt tensioner and idler kit. That was really done, let's see, 8th of December. That's when I started to sort of pay for some of this stuff. So let's have a look at a few other things in there. So the offside airbag was replaced with an R0 version. I had to get a new battery. The old one had completely crapped out, which was strange because that one was only, I think it was replaced in October. But as Tim pointed out, these digital dash L322's need an AGM battery. And because I live in London, I just used Halfords to come over and get it, stuck one in which wasn't an AGM battery. He believed a lot of the problems I was having around intermittent starting and things like that was probably caused by not having an AGM battery. So that got replaced. The new injector, they're expensive, 428 quid for a new injector. It needed to get tracked. The air gas needed degassing and regassing. Then we also had the engine mount as well. So that was sort of done on the 22nd of March, which is the latter part of all this. So I'll go through some of the other stuff. The rear subframe bushings were shot. Now I had a problem when we were in Spain in September. I was running, I could hear it clonking and banging every time you would, especially when you would go over any sort of off-road. And on the last couple of trails we did when we were in Spain, I could really feel something was wrong, and it was squeaking. It didn't feel good. So I said to Tim, okay, it's in there, have a look. So while they were waiting for the other parts to arrive, I got him to have a look at what was going on at the back, and he confirmed that all of the bushings were just shot, completely gone. So we made the determination that the best thing to do was take the entire subframe out, rebuild it. So you may have seen some other pictures, and I can overlay some here, of the subframe was taken out, rebuilt completely. So a lot of things like handbrake cables, bushings, rivets in the back, clips, all of that stuff was completely ripped out, replaced. The handbrake control unit, if they go, you got to get the subframe out. And Tim said, look, it's the original, we're in there, do you want to do it? So we got a refurb one. It just to make sense to me, while it was all out, just do it. Now some people would argue, well, why would you spend close to 800 quid to get a new parking brake, actuator, etc.? But you're going to be spending all that time to get all of the subframe out, however that's going to take, you know, whatever that's going to take in labor to get the damn thing out, and then put it all back together again. So we made the determination to do that. So this is the big list of parts, and again you can follow on here and pause this so you can have a look. So new starter motor, new radiator, the power steering pipe, there was a picture of it and a video that I took up on the channel on a short. Somehow it was just crimped, completely crimped, and as Tim said to me, he said, I have absolutely no idea how you've managed to drive this for close to a year doing 15,000 miles and not notice it. Now what was interesting, now we know that that was in place, is that I was in Spain, I think it was probably in April, and I could feel it juddering. It would judder and judder, and like, what the heck is wrong with that? Stopped, moved it, looked in the power in the reservoir, it all was okay, and then miraculously it went away. So I'm not sure if that was it, but you can see it was crimped. So there was definitely not enough fluid getting through. So anyway, that was replaced, and all the pipes there. All the glow plugs gone. They were all knackered. There was a diff bearing at the front, new oil cooler. There was different types of pipes and clips for the radiators, water pipes. The rear brake flexi pipe was gone, shot. Handbrake cables gone. Let's have a look down the rest of here. So a lot of this is things like diff oils. You know, you have to remember everything's been drained out of this. It was all put back in. Rear bushings on the diff, rear diff nose bushings, subframe bush rivets, subframe bushes, 4 of them, 365 quid. They're expensive. Rear drop links, top arm bushings on the rear, arm bolts, bottom arm bolts and nuts. These are all genuine stuff. Diesel filter, diesel housing seal. There was a leak in the diesel housing. For the seals, injector seals, copper washers, 8 of them. They took them all out, made sure everything was back in again. I will say it starts on the button like that, whereas before you would do a couple of turns. So clearly, you know, he said the glow plugs were all shot. They've all been replaced. And a fuel pump. The fuel pipe to the pump rail was replaced. I'm not going to tell you what that cost, but when you start adding up all these little bits and pieces, it turns into a fairly significant chunk of change. Now the good thing is this has been going on for 6 months, so you know, when certain things needed paying, I paid it. So it wasn't like I walked in there and had to hand over a whole bunch of cash straight away. There were some things that needed to be paid off, so clearly we've done that. Am I happy? Yeah, it's back. Of course I'm happy. This car's had a checkered past in the last, let's see, 14, 16 months. So yeah, I'm happy it's back, because there's a lot of things that need to get done on it. Okay, so that's all of the things that have gone on with this vehicle in the time it's been away. And I sincerely apologize to the 2,127 of you who are subscribed and wondering, why is this guy not posting anymore? Well, I didn't have a vehicle. And again, a lot of you know I've been starting a new job. I've been backwards and forwards to Helsinki, and to be honest with you, you lot don't want to watch me next to Christmas trees yakking on about what's going on in my car. However, in the downtime, there's lots of things that I have been doing. So a lot of the things I've been accumulating parts in our spare bedroom. A lot of those have got out now. We've now got a big yellow unit to move some of the stuff in the gear that I've got out of the house, which in itself is a godsend because it's all in one place and I can just drive down the road and pick it up as and when I need it. So what's going to be coming up on the channel? I've got a chase bar which was sent to me way back when, I believe it was December, to go test it. So I finally, since I've been down here in Wales, I've been putting that on. A couple of Heretic Studios BA2s and a BA4. So the white ones are the BA2s, the amber ones are the BA4s. I've now just installed those quickly down the side of the roof rack. The spare wheel is on the roof. I took all of the back of my kitchen and everything out, gave it a really big clean. I never really cleaned it when I came back from Spain, and if it's been sitting inside of Tim's barn and shed for 6 months, it's pretty grungy in there. And I apologise, I'm under a tarp. There's something else that's new to the channel. So if you hear it squeaking, it's squeaking on the ladder. There we go. So yes, I've got a chase light bar. Originally, when we went to the Velta, I have had an amber light up there, but they asked me if I wanted one. I said, yep, that sounds good. It's really cool. It's very, very slim. So when I get back, sometime in the next week or so, I need to chop the bracket so it sits flush up underneath the rack and not on the back of it where it is now. So I need to trim off the brackets to make them fit. I have my Egon water hub. I think I took some pictures of it, but I'll quickly show you what it looks like. So one of the things that I don't have on this vehicle was the ability to have hot water. And so I've been researching it for a long period of time before we went off to Spain last year. And so I bought an Egon water hub. That arrived in October. And then I bought this Aquios water heater. And it's a 5-litre water heater. And with my water tank, and the water heater and the pumps, I now have the ability, when it's all hooked up, although it's in the back of the vehicle, to be able to get hot and cold water running through to the back here, but also I can run hot water into a shower. So inside of here is my Egon water hub, and I had to take all this apart, and as you can see the logo's got red. There's no way I was going to have that hideous green. And then repiped everything using John Guest 12mm push fit fittings, and that goes all the way through. That is, you can just about see that in there, that is the Equios water heater, and then my tank is back here, and so I just need to plumb all that in. That's all the fittings for all of the pumps, or rather the power supplies for the pumps, and then the blue one is fresh water in, the red one is for the shower, and the green one is for an external hookup. I've relocated my compressor, which is now in the back, buried up the back below here, and then the output of the compressor is going to come from here, and then I've got a indeflate which I can plug in here, out the window on the other side to get to, you know, inflate and deflate. And because this was the gap for the switch for the compressor, this is for the X-Brite rear strobe light. So yes, it does strobe, but I put it in here so I can start it, stop it here, and save you have to worry about the red vision system. Just run it independent. You can only run these off-road, you can't really run them on the road. So anyway, this box has got to get put in. I've got to put some feet in down here, so I just need to measure those, and then at the back here it's got to get wedged up and then attached to the frame. All of that I built when the car was away. Thankfully I took some dimensions because I took the rear seat out, the 70-30 split seat, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. A few other things, because the rooftop tent has gone, because I was looking at different types of setups, primarily because it's quite interesting. Here I am sitting underneath a tarp. When we were in Spain, we got rained out 4 times, and then with the kitchen at the back of this, you just get soaked. So there were a lot of times when it started raining, you close everything up into the tent. So I've been looking at different tarps and different types of setups. So the original iCamper rooftop tent, that got sold back in November to a guy with a T5, I think it's a T5 Volkswagen. So that is now, I've actually seen pictures of it, looks quite cool on the top. So that went, and then I started hunting down. Originally I was going to go for an Oz tent, but I've changed my mind. I might still go back to Oz tent, but we'll see. A couple of reasons why. I got a lot of gear in here, and as most of you probably know when you go off-road, is the biggest problem you end up having is space. Now this is not a big vehicle, despite what people might think. It's really not a big vehicle. When everything in the back here, space is a premium. So I was talking to a company called Rome Adventures who have these rooftop boxes. They were going to send me 2, and then I would have had to pay the shipping and then also have to pay the income, you know, the tax and everything on it. It just wasn't viable to do it. So I found a guy on eBay who was a distributor for Peli boxes. So I have 2 Peli cases. They are IM322’s, I believe. And over the winter I've been modifying those. And the idea now is that 2 of them will go on down either side, and then I will store my recovery gear, my high lift jack, all of that sort of stuff in one of them, and then on the other one all of this sort of camping gear like tarps, tents, sleeping bags and things like that will go into the secondary one on the other side. So I've got to figure out over the coming weeks so to get them out of the storage unit that I've got. Probably go down to the mother-in-law's, make up a template, and then drill the bottom of the boxes, and then they can go straight on. But that's really why I've reconsidered not having an Oz tent. So if you're familiar with Oz tents, they're long, they're 2 meters long, and they're fixed. The problem there is you've got to find a 2 meter long roof rack, which this just about is 2 meters. But it needs to sit flat. And because I moved my spare wheel from underneath the wheel well up there, I got no way of being able to put an Oz tent flat on the roof rack. So that's probably the major reason why no Oz tent. I might go back to it, but we'll see. I'll see if I can finagle what's going around up on the roof, but In the coming weeks, I'll show you the Peli boxes. I'll show you the mods that I made to them. And then I'll put them on the vehicle, and then you can see what it looks like when they're all up there. I've measured it all up. There's plenty of space, so that's good to go. So my alternative for the Oz tent is a combination of tarps that go out the back that are easy to put up. This one is from Nature Hike. It's a gabled end, which means it sort of like slopes down. But in a couple of weeks time, I'll come back here. I've got other tents as well, and I'll show you the options that I've come up with, which I think is a better option. It's a better option than an Oz tent. Now, it might take a little longer to set it up, but ultimately I think this is a better option for me going forward. We'll see. AliExpress has been giving a workout, and I'll give you some hints and tips that if you want to get some of this stuff that's made in China, get it from AliExpress. It's just unbelievably cheap, and it doesn't take as long as people think to deliver it to the UK. I've got a lot of Helinox products as well. So I've got a couple of Helinox chairs. That's for the Duchess and I when we go on a trip, and I'll just talk you through the trips that we're going to do. And I've also got the cot. Now, I was always going to use a cot, but I've got my cot Max. It's the 210 version. And then I've got this tent from a company called Jake Lau. Now, Jake Lau is the guy that created Helinox, and he has created a cot tent. And it's over here, and tonight I'm going to hop into it and test it out. I've had it for a couple of weeks. I got it from South Korea. It's yellow, but I do like it. I've tested it out. I was down here a few weeks ago before I got this. Set it all up just to make sure what it looked like, and it's quite comfortable. I didn't do a full night in it, but tonight I'm going to do a night in it and see how it goes. I also have a ARB swag. I had a double about 3 or 4 years ago that I used when I had the Defender. I found a single. It was a brand new single. A guy had one with a bag on eBay, 300 quid. Never been used. Changed his mind, never used it. So we'll have that. Thank you very much. That was, if it was retail, I think it would be like 550 quid with the bag. But this is the single version of the ARB Skydome swag. So I'll get that out, and I'll come down here as well and do a run through that. I've got a TP tent as well, which is a nature hike tent. There's a really good channel that I've been sort of engrossed in called Go 4x4. It's a German guy in Australia. They're more relaxing videos actually of a guy camping with his Jeep than actually informative. So if you ever want to get to the point where you can't sleep, turn his videos on. They're really good. They don't put you to sleep, but it's that sort of atmospheric type of video. And anyway, with him, he's got some Nature Hike products. He's got a Nature Hike TP tent. He's got this gabled. That's where I got the idea to try this out. So in the coming weeks, I'll come down here. I'll put up some tents and I'll do some reviews of those. Now, as far as trips are concerned, unfortunately, we postponed the trip to Spain. I think it was the 2nd week of March. Pretty much back to back to back every day. I had the 3 people that were signed up, just cancelled. I think the way the world is at the moment, economies, I don't think people can justify it. So we just said, done. Now for me, with trips, I do have a number of them coming up. So in June, I'm off to join the German guys on the German Land Rover Club. This one is in Dresden, which is almost the Polish border. So I've got one massive drive across Germany in this, the first week of June. So that's a long weekend. There's off-roading as well. It's in a disused coal mine. So that should be fun. Put the L322 through its paces. From there, I'm going to drive up to Hamburg, north of Hamburg, where the ports are. Put this thing on the ferry and then go to Helsinki. So in June, I'm going to be spending pretty much the whole month in Helsinki for work. But that gives me the opportunity to pack this thing up on the weekends and go and explore the Finnish lakes area. So I'm looking forward to that. Then the Duchess and I are going to do Helsinki to Tallinn, Estonia, Latvia down to Riga, to Jamala, into Lithuania, into Poland, to Gdansk, and do the top part of Poland, where there's some unbelievable sand dunes apparently. So we're going to do all the way down through the Baltic states into Poland, pretty much end up in Berlin. That will be the end of that trip. And probably towards the October time frame, I might go get my Spain fix. I'll probably just pack this thing up and just head off for a week and then just go to Spain, Portugal, drive around for 10 days and come back. But we'll see about that. I think I might be able to cram that in around the October period of time. The other things that you probably heard of way back in January, I can't believe it was that long ago now, was about the winch. So the winch is on hold. I need to get my bank account to replenish itself. So probably around August time frame, I will tackle the winch. I've got most of the parts. I don't have the winch. That's a big expense, and clearly you have to pay for this thing. The winch is a luxury that I can ill afford at this point in time. So yeah, the winch will come in probably in August. I've got a couple of Heretic Studios BA2 flush mounted lights that I want to put into the tray as well, which means having to cut the tray. So I'm going to have to figure out how to get somebody to do that for me. But it's just some things that will have to go on back order, but that will be done probably in August. So lastly, when I bought this vehicle back in November 2021, I saw the number 666 and thought, that looks ominous. And of course, you know, within 2 months later, it had its accident. Oh, by the way, taking those little bastards to court, so I'll see them in August. Anyway, the 666 has always bugged me. And then during the time that this was away, I happened to just look around one day, or I must have got some spam message about vanity plates, private number plates, and thought, I always thought they were really expensive. So I got cruising around and I typed in L322 and up came XI L322. And because you can space them all out, the letters out on the registration numbers, show plates, which are sort of quasi-legal, I thought, why not? It was only 360 quid. This vehicle has now been exorcised, so the devil is gone. I actually quite like it. I remember when the vehicle came back and then I put in the document for the V5 doc to get the company to transfer it over. I was expecting it to take weeks. In less than 20 minutes, it was all done. Got the official documents, and then I was told you can change your plates. So I had already ordered the plates. They're already on the vehicle. I'll show you what it looks like. I quite like it. It's unique. But then you've got to go change absolutely everything. So insurance has got to be done. Parking permits have got to be done. I'd already booked the the tunnel to get to Germany. I've got to change that. There's a whole raft of things you have to do when you change your number plates over. But anyway, it's over. So now it is XI11 L322, and this is a model year 11. So although it was made in 2010, it's the model year 11. So it actually quite fits. It's an 11 L322. So that's it. It's great to be back. It's great to be able to create content again with the L322. Lots more stuff coming in the following weeks. I promised you will not have to wait months and months and months for more videos. They're going to come thick and fast. And there's going to be a combination. I know some people love the L322 content. How you doing, Sam? I know a lot of people also like it for the travel stuff that we do. There's not a lot of travel this year, potentially, as it was last year, clearly, because I'm back at work. And then some people look at it as just the gear. But I'm going to be doing a lot more gear type of stuff as well. So you can have a look at some of the gear that I use. And if you want to go and reach out to those companies, just let me know. And I'll be sure to see what I can do to put you in touch with them. A lot of the stuff I bought myself. Some of the times I have asked companies in return for a review, and then all you do is I pay shipping and then any of the import tax. So I don't have to disclaim whether it's, you know, a paid endorsement or anything like that, because they're not. You normally just have to redo a review, and so you'll see a lot of reviews in the coming weeks and months of the different type of kit that I've got, and hopefully it's of interest to you. I'm sort of the type of person that the stuff that I show you is stuff that I use. It's not a case of, I've had people try and send me things and it's just like, I'm not interested. I've had a couple of people like HelloFresh, NordVPN. My channel's not big enough for that, and quite honestly, I'm not going to prostitute myself for whatever they're offering to do a video and insert NordVPN in. It just doesn't make sense to me. This is an overlanding travel adventure channel what the heck does NordVPN got to do with it, or HelloFresh? So I have been approached to do some of those. I pretty much turned them all down. I'm just not interested. I just don't see the point. That's not what this channel is about. And then I'm going to do sort of some subtle videos of me coming down here to Wales and wild camping, and I'll do it very similar into the vein. I'd like the video style of Go 4x4, in the style of that, where I don't talk, I just set it up and you can see me struggling to get it up on my own. But hopefully that might be of interest. We'll see how it goes, and if you don't like them, hey, you don't like them. Anyway, that's it. Enough rambling. This video has gone on way too long. I got work to do, and with that, it's great to be back. Thank you very much for those of you that have watched, liked and subscribed in the time that I've not been here. Hopefully it continues, and hopefully the content is of interest to you. And with that, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.